sir. You're about to see something really special.
Really thought this part of my life was behind me. Frenzy disappeared with the drinking 3 years ago. Why now? This makes no sense, and I'm right on the verge of freaking out.
Back from your life.
These people can be animals.
What you burn.
Thingy's out.
Some bitter things you should never
Good cheese.
learn. Wallow through the days.
Remember, cosplay's not consent.
So here's to me. Congratulations, me. Yay, me.
This would all be so much easier if I was hammered. Hammered.
Won't be there anymore.
Right.
You can take away the anger, but you leave behind the pain. It's your soul I will
New ventures are always scary.
till I'm melting
Blah, blah, blah. Something positive and uplifting.
tomorrow. But the hurt will still remain. In your soul I'll live forever till I'm melting in.
Don't miss our new film, The Love Song of William H. Shaw, coming soon to a streaming service near you. Hey everyone, this is Cliff from Talking Pondo. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up about spoilers on the show. We do talk about the films in a certain amount of detail, so you may want to watch the film first and then come back if you're not a fan of spoilers. Also, every now and then there's a little bit of adult language, so we wanted to give you fair warning on that. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we really appreciate you listening. Welcome to Season 2 of Making Pondo and Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Making Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty talk to people they have worked with and discuss their experiences on set. All right, Marty, looks like we're back again.
We're back again. It's season 2, episode 16, but overall, it's episode 52. So congratulations on a solid year's worth of podcasts at this point. Next week, we celebrate 1 full year without even talking about it. On the episode itself, you'll see how modest we are in the Making Pondo with Drew Kalen Keck episode next week. But for today, it's another talking episode, Talking Pondo episode, that is. I'm Marty Catola, as always.
And I am Cliff Campbell.
And our movies today are 2 that I've been looking forward to for some time. It's The Poseidon Adventure and Go. So, wait a minute, we did those already?
Yeah, we did those already.
Oh, okay. So, sorry, my bad. I had it wrong. So, our movies today are these are pretty decent too. My Chauffeur and Fandango.
No.
And so I have a lot to say. Oh
No.
well, yeah, we did record that already.
Your movie.
Oh, it was Night of the Hunter and Before
There you go.
Sunrise.
There you
That's
go.
what we watched this week.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, so that means our movies were... Well, this wasn't all bad. This is weird, though. Our movies were Animal Factory and Get Him to the
Greek.
Oh my God.
There is
Okay.
a very obvious commonality in these movies.
It's about movies. It's 2 movies about people that belong in jail.
Oh shit!
Wow.
This folks, buckle up. This is probably going to be lively. Okay, so let's do Animal Factory first.
Okay, Animal Factory. So, this is from the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Steve Buscemi. Is this the first Steve Buscemi project that we've covered on the show?
As far as having him been direct, I think this is the first thing he's been in that or had anything to do with that we've reviewed.
That's what I was thinking. So once again, we picked the weird one to start with.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was oh no, we've had him in something, and this is just his first directorial type thing. But no, this is definitely, I think, the first thing we've done with him.
Since this movie also it stars Danny Trejo, it felt like a really bizarre follow-up to Spy Kids Part 2 to me, you know. But, you know, before we get into the plot of the film Animal Factory, I would like to say it reminds me of the film Waiting in a way.
What?
And you say, how could this remind you of Waiting? And it's like, well, it's kind of like the writer had a series of true events and they just wrote all the events and we're just seeing those events happen. While as that movie's about all the real shit that happens at fast food restaurants, this is more about a series of real life type of stuff that happens in jail. You even said, why don't we watch Bad Boys? Because we never do anything nice and easy.
We never do.
We have to go in.
We
with
always
the
have
weird
to go
ones.
back. Yeah, we always have to slide in through a back door or through a window or some shit. Never go through the front door.
And so I think Danny Trejo was one of the producers on this too. And so this is based on a guy that he did time with.
Edward Bunker.
Yeah, Edward Bunker.
I have
And
two of his
so
books on my shelf.
it's interesting.
Yeah, he's a pretty good writer. He's got that kind of Jim Thompson sort of feel. Jim Thompson wrote The Killer Inside Me, The Grifters.
Oh, okay.
I found Edward a long time ago because he's Mr. Not Mr. Brown, he's Mr. Blue, one of the misters in Reservoir Dogs.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's when I kind of was like, who's that dude? Why is he in the movie? It's like, oh, well, he's a kind of a pulp writer.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's kind of what Tarantino was all about. So.
And so the story of Danny Trejo showing up on the set of Runaway Train.
Yeah.
And somebody asking him, you know, could he help train Eric Roberts how to box?
Right.
Well, it was Eddie Bunker who was like, yeah, he's a total boxer and shit. We did time together. So he ran into him there, and then the rest.
That's interesting. I didn't know it was Bunker. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, because we heard him tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
Trejo. We heard Trejo tell that story about getting that job and how it changed everything for him.
And so what is this movie about? What is the synopsis?
All right, Animal Factory from the year 2000. A young man goes to prison, and a tough older convict takes him under his wing as a mentor. That's the sort of the short version.
Mm-hmm.
The write-up storyline is Ron, who's young, slight, and privileged, is sentenced to prison on marijuana charges. For whatever reason, he brings out paternal feelings in an 18-year prison veteran, Earl Copen, who takes Ron under his wing. The film explores the nature of that relationship, Ron's part in Earl's gang, and the way Ron deals with aggressive cons intent on assault and rape. There's casual racism, too, in the prison and the guards, a strike called by black prisoners, and the whole nearly omnipresence of hard drugs. Ron's lawyer is working on getting Ron out quickly. Earl has a shot at parole, and death seems to be waiting in the next cell. Will prison turn Ron into an animal?
Oh, yeah. That's pretty succinct without giving away.
Yeah, without giving away too much.
Act 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like I discovered this on IFC in the early aughts, and I just thought it was just this weird kind of oddity because there's not a whole lot going on. You don't get to know the characters that well, but the series of events that are going through was kind of engaging. Willem Dafoe's really, you know, he's into the role, and he kind of takes you along for the ride. You do have to, you know, Edward Furlong looking like he's out of it for most of it is kind of a distraction, I will admit. But it shows things that you don't normally see in these type of movies. It takes a different approach, you know, a little bit, right?
I mean, I read somebody, I caught a blurb about somebody's review of it, and they called it low key. And I thought that's a good description of it. It's a low key prison movie, right? Like, whereas American Me would be like fucking high key, kind of, you know, really fucking intense prison movie where it's like more shit. This is more a little day to day, a little laid back. I mean, things still happen, but even the way it's shot, it's not shot in a very. He doesn't really ramp up the intensity with the cameras or blocking or anything like that or lighting. It's just kind of, this is the prison, this is the guard. This is.
I feel like there's supposed to be a dullness to it in a way, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Prison life can, you know, even when people are getting shanked out in the yard repeatedly, it's still kind of dull being stuck in prison for years at a time.
you know, I'm kind of one of my first notes is I'm kind of worn out with the prison movies. You know, because in my 20s I watched a lot of them. They were crazy to watch. You'd watch American Me and fucking all these others, and you know, and go, oh yeah, you know, oh fucking, you know, the Oz television show, all that stuff. You know, Orange is the New Black. You know, you've got all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
This
I got to the point where I'm
all
just like, I just like, I just don't want to watch movies about people in prison. Like, I get it, prison sucks. Protect your butthole.
Mhm.
I don't want to. I don't want to watch it. You know, I just not
I
because
know what
I'm
you mean.
not,
It's
not
not my
because they're
chosen
not because
genre
they're bad. It's just like
either.
I feel like I don't think that there's really much more to tell with a prison movie than what there is than
Yeah.
what we've already gotten. Shawshank kind of fucking nailed it. Let's
Yeah.
just move the fuck on. You know what I mean?
Well, this is another
Uh,
one of those actor
It's
movies.
got a hell of a cast. I mean, fucking Jesus. Everywhere you turn, there's somebody, the character actors. It's got the fucking dude who played the cook from Vision Quest is in this motherfucker.
Oh.
So now he's been in 2 movies that we've done on this show. He was in fucking The Abyss, and he's in this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure we'll do Vision Quest at some
yeah.
point, and he'll be in that too.
Coming soon. He will be in that. Unless we edit him out, he's going to be in there. I just, the reason I kind of, I mildly enjoy the film. It's not like I'm raving about it or anything, but I do like, how the actors kind of dig in to their roles, and you're kind of immediately thrust in the non-action, so to speak. You're right into the thick of, what's going on? Oh, well, they're running the drugs over here, and blah, blah, blah. And so it's not really, it doesn't really slow down. Its pace is pretty decent. There's a few weird spots, but I think that's intentional too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's paced pretty well, I think. I'd agree with that. There's a couple things the movie just, like you said, you don't really get to know the characters very well. Why does the head guard worry about Earl so much? Like, why are they friendly?
Yeah.
Why is he so worried about him getting parole? Why is he so protective of him? Because he knows he's doing drugs. He knows he's running drugs. He knows he's got a gang.
Yeah.
He even confronts him about, did you kill that dude? Yet he's still like, we're gonna get you parole, buddy. And it's just like, I feel like there needs to be more. And maybe that's like deleted scenes or something to keep that pacing up, because it's 94 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's a sharp. And which I think was a good pace for it. Like it didn't dwell in a lot of the shit that prison movies will dwell in. Mickey fucking Rourke as the trans woman was like, holy shit, dude.
The odd diversion.
Great fucking job too, I thought. But his character didn't do anything.
Right.
But I can see.
It's more like the obstacle for the other character. Yeah.
Right, but I can see why all these character actors signed on. Because, like you said, it's like, oh, okay, I can fucking dig into this.
Yeah.
That dude who does the guitar playing and singing, he had a whole fucking career over after that.
Oh.
I mean, he's still touring right now. He plays tattoo parlors and shit, and he's known for his music style. And can't remember, Bobby Labetz or something like that. I think was his name. Let me look it up. Jake Labatz. Yeah, he's the guy with the slick back hair. I was like, he sounds a little too polished to just be like an actor playing a song. And sure enough, he's a musician who broke into acting that way. Interesting.
And they did use a lot of actual inmates as extras.
Do we know what prison this was in?
Oh, I have to look that up again real quick. It's a good idea, though. See which one it was. I don't think it's where it says it is in the movie. I think it's like on the other side of the country, Not a whole lot of stuff written about this one that I discovered,
Yeah, I mean,
nobody knows about this movie either, so.
the whole like, I mean, they spend a lot of time talking about, of course, and that's how prison is, but they spend a lot of time talking about rape, getting raped, and then
another thing that it shares in common with our other film today.
Exactly. That was going to be my point. Is that's the big thing they share.
So what do you know? What do you know?
Well, and the other thing that they share is that both Edward Furlong and Jonah Hill are digitally penetrated at some point by another actor in the film.
That is true.
Which
there are spoilers on this program.
Tom Arnold is a really creepy fucking guy when he wants to be, and I thought he played that really well.
Yeah. Okay, so it's set in San Quentin, but it was shot at Holmesburg Prison in Philadelphia,
Mm.
and they completed it in 30 days, and hundreds of prisoners from Curran Fromhold Correctional Facility were used in the film. Yeah. And you're right, the Reservoir Dogs thing, it says here. And it gets mostly, not like rave reviews, but people are kind of like, yeah, all right, or maybe slightly above average.
Mhm.
But it's one of those weird, you're flipping through the channels and the aughts and you find it on IFC, and it's like, I know all this cast. Why haven't I heard of this
Why haven't I heard of
movie?
this movie?
And it's kind of intriguing because it feels like it's kind of going somewhere, right? It ultimately is not as satisfying as you'd like it to be, but it does kind of pull you along for some weird ride. The thing I always remembered the most was the whole ending. The whole idea of sneaking out in the garbage truck was the thing that, and I couldn't remember. I'm like, does he get mashed? What happens?
That's so much of my problem with this movie.
It's so kind of ridiculous, but I've never seen that before.
This movie is basically about this kid making one bad decision and then being forced into other bad decisions, and then finally making a choice to make even more bad decisions.
Yeah.
Because like, look, I get it. You're not going to get your sentence, redone because the fucking, you're hanging out with these dudes who are protecting you and they're keeping your butthole intact. But at the same time, they're bad dudes. They run drugs. They kill people, and you're part of that gang. That's how the prison system sees you. So that's how they report you to the judge, and that fucks up your chance to get your sentence adjusted. And now you got to do 5 years. But to escape prison and just be a fucking because you're just going to go, if you get caught for any reason, you go back to prison with more fucking time.
I'm going down to the parrot farm. They'll never find me again.
Yeah, I'm going down to fucking Swatanejo, right? And fucking,
But it's like, he was that close.
It seemed like a very good fucking choice to me.
And then the Defoe tries to talk him down about, don't go and kill that guy right now. I know you want to, but... And ultimately, he still ends up making choices where it was like, no, he was already, they say, does it turn you into the animal? And it's like, well, you were the animal before you went in there already, because all you were was a pot dealer, which is kind of funny looking at that now, how that wouldn't even be a thing, With everything being legalized, that's not the crime that it once was a quarter of a century ago.
Well, it's still, in some states, it still is.
Oh,
in this day and age that people are doing time for marijuana is insane.
Mm-hmm. This is described as neo-noir. Do you see that? I never thought of that.
It didn't feel neo-noir to me. I mean, look, I think Buscemi did a good job with the film, with what he had to work with.
With what they had, yeah.
It was an interesting take on a prison movie. Like I said, it does a lot of the standard prison shit. I'm going to rape your butthole and got to shank somebody, all the kind of standard stuff. But there were some twists in there. I mean, for a while, because I was, my first two questions were, when is this kid going to get it? As far as when is somebody going to get a hold of him? And then the second one was, when is somebody going to kill Willem Dafoe? Because it seemed really obvious to me that Defoe was going to die at some point.
Right.
He didn't, which was an interesting twist. And then just to see the kid, escape and him not be able to go with him was a good ending. I thought. I just think it was just. I don't think the kid's motivation, and I don't think.
It's
Willem Dafoe's character did him any favors by making him an escaped convict on the run from the law.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Now you really are forever in the criminal world. Congratulations.
That's why I say it reminds me of Waiting in a way, where it's just a series of events, and it's also like, how do we end this movie? Is one way of looking at it.
Right.
Another way is, I have this story about the guy who snuck out in the garbage truck. And we want to put this in the movie, so let's just, like all the other random transitions, let's just, And so to look at it as a straight narrative is kind of bizarre. But if you look at it as a series of different things that happen to different people, like myths of prison time,
Yeah, but but unfortunately, that's not how the movie's presented to us. It's presented to us as a linear story about a kid who goes into prison,
Oh
right?
yeah, but
So,
you're right.
I get what definitely get what you're saying, and I have a book of his short stories. I think
Context is everything, but
it's either Dog Eat Dog or Death Row Breakout.
Mhm. So
Um,
was that interesting when you started the movie up and you were like, "Oh, it's this person"? Like, did that?
yeah, I mean, the two things that made me very hopeful was A, it was 94 minutes, and then B, I figured out it was Edward Burke, and then the last part was like, oh, okay, there's a shit ton of fucking good actors in this. Like, there's a lot of good actors in this film. Character actors, just good character actors. Everywhere you turn is another good character actor.
That's true.
You know,
Just,
you
just nothing but character actors. The movie, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you've got Willem Dafoe and Furlong, they're the leads, but you've got Mark Boone Jr., who goes on to do a bunch of stuff later. Danny Trejo, Seymour Cassell, who's the head guard,
Oh yeah.
Mickey fucking Rourke. Edward's dad is John Hurd, for Christ's sake. He got Tom Arnold, and then you've got a whole cast of supporting characters in there, including Buscemi's brother.
Mhm.
As soon as Buscemi's brother was on camera, I was like, "That's Buscemi's brother. Looks just like him.
Mhm.
Looks just like him."
Well, it's back around that time period where they could pull a budget enough to make these things and not worry about, we're just making it because we want to make it. We feel like it's a good movie to do and we want to work together. And it's so much harder to do that now. You can still do it, but it's
$3.5 million estimated, and it made $45,000.
Yeah. They probably weren't expecting a big theatrical run though.
Yeah,
knows?
kind of second and third window type stuff.
Yeah. Well, I see Andrew Stevens is one of the producers, the son of Stella Stevens, who was in the Poseidon Adventure. And Andrew Stevens did a bunch of B movies in the 80s and 90s, a lot of the Skinamax. He's also he's also in Munchie, the movie on MST. So
interesting.
I saw that name. I'm like, oh yeah, there's good old Andrew Stevens. He's like another Roger Corman type school of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting film.
Yeah,
it's not one I would watch again, probably.
I always
I
kind of forget about it.
It's a novelty. It's a decently made novelty.
Mm-hmm. Then every decade I rewatch it to remind myself, did he get crushed in the trash? Am I remembering this wrong? No, he gets away. He does the Star Wars maneuver with this metal bar, and they were both going to jump in the truck, but it was like,
two metal bars.
Yeah, it's like, what are you going to do? This he lives there, right? He runs the place. So back to it's like the ending of one of our unproduced scripts, and then the chef just goes back to work, and the cycle starts over and over again. What is him and Danny Trejo going to get up to next?
And that's just not a great ending.
No, not really. But I like seeing the typewriter and stuff, and you're like, look how old this is. Year 2000 is still using fucking typewriters to do the reports. Like, there's so much of that I wonder how much of that in prison life has changed now because of the advent of computers and stuff. And would you have the dude who's such a favored person allowed to type up all the reports? And it's not go back and retype the piece of paper. It's on the computer now. So I don't know. It's Animal Factory 2.
One of the things that the movie kind of glosses over is like, I mean, it does talk about the drug trade, but it doesn't talk about the trade and just like contraband that prisoners do. I mean, everything from food to, could be, damn near anything in the system. It's, I thought that, it's also, you don't really see the inmates much, like living their lives. Like a lot of them, a lot of them
it's just
kind
incident.
of dress they have their rooms and their personal belongings and shit like that. And so it was interesting, but it didn't feel lived in.
Yeah.
Like it felt very much like they put people into a prison that was either closed or run down. It didn't feel like people lived there. It just felt like they were actors on a set, right? It didn't feel very, very dressed, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, when we get the Bad Boys one day, the Sean Penn movie, not the cop movie, we might watch that one day too, but that has nothing to do with this other than the title. We'll compare and see if that one feels more lived in. Because I haven't watched that in a long time.
Oh
So.
God, dude, that's.
I
I remember that. I
always
remember that
like
being a very rough movie.
But then you get let down somewhere in Act 3. I remember there was this feeling of, oh, something didn't pay off. So not anytime soon, but maybe eventually. I could see that happening. Bad Boys from 1983.
Well,
this one. So anything else on this one?
no, I don't have much else.
I think that guy should have waited to get his thing stamped instead of crossing the line and getting
getting killed for it. Yeah, that's true.
I'll slit his throat right now so he won't talk, and they didn't. And then he was talking, and it was like, oh, everything gets fucked up. Just weird domino effects things. Yeah.
Yeah, shower razoring was a bit weird. That's I don't want to get cut by a razor when I'm in the shower. That's weird. Reminded me of Eastern Promises.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, and it's before Eastern Promises too.
No, yeah.
Wow, we haven't even done a Cronenberg yet. Well, all in time. This movie's body horror in a way. Both of these movies, you could consider them body horror.
I think for me, this is probably a 2-star movie.
Yeah, I have to give it 2.5 for its weird swing. But yeah, I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
An oddity. I found a copy of it a few months ago, and I hadn't seen a copy for a long time, and I was like, this is just weird enough that let's just do this one right now, because nobody knows what this movie is. Yeah.
I remember I have seen it before. When I was about halfway through the movie, I'm watching Mickey Rourke in the bunk while he's doing his nails, and I'm like, I've seen this before.
You're like, I've seen this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How can you forget that? It does feel like all his scenes were shot at the same time, right? Because when they cut back, it's like even the same angles. And I'm like, I get it. I know what you're doing. You know, you probably had one day with them, but.
Well, and you don't ever see Mickey with the rest of the other actors. The only time you basically see him is with Furlong. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. Okay. So, yeah, 2 stars and 2.5. Right.
So our second movie today is another documentary. It's from the year 2010. It's called Get 'Em to the Greek. It didn't start out as a documentary, but over time it has managed to transgress to. Look, I'll say it's not a bad film, but it might be the cringiest film of all time, just based on the people who are in the film. And you say we'll separate the art from the artist, but can you separate the Hindenburg from the disaster? Let's study this today as we go through Get 'Em to the Greek. What is this movie?
Well, Get 'Em to the Greek. Hang on just a second. So first off, it's a kind of a sequel to Forgetting Sarah Marshall. They bring the characters, in particular Aldous Snow, from Forgetting Sarah Marshall into Get 'Em to the Greek, and they do this movie, which is a record company intern is hired to accompany an out-of-control British rock star, Aldous Snow, to a concert at the LA's Greek Theater. That's the basic plot, and here's the storyline. English rock star Aldous Snow relapses into drugs and booze after a breakup and a disastrous record. In LA, Aaron Green works for a record company stuck in a recession. Aaron's boss gives him a career-making task to bring Aldous from London to LA for a concert in 72 hours. That day, Aaron's girlfriend Daphne tells him she wants to finish her medical residency in Seattle. Aaron is sure this ends his relationship with her, so in London things aren't much better.
We have a lot of break.
Aldous delays their departures several times, plies Aaron with vices, and alternates between bad behavior and trenchant observations. Can Aaron moderate Aldous' substance abuse and get him to the Greek? What about Daphne? So, yeah.
Wow. So, people talk about Porky's, Revenge of the Nerd, Entourage. Get Him to the Greek says, here, hold my beer.
No shit. You're absolutely right about it. And look.
Why did they talk about those? Holy shit. Don't watch this movie.
This is fucking coming out of the Apatow time from about what? I think when did the 40-year-old virgin come out? Was it like
It was
2005?
a couple years before this, yeah.
I think it was 2005 or something. Hang on just a
It's a
second.
better
But
example of this type of humor before.
yeah, it was 2005, and he kind of had a grip on
Mhm.
comedies, especially these raunchy comedies.
Yeah.
This is and fucking what's the fucking one with oh Christ, The Hangover. Of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
The Hangover is the highest rated, highest
Mhm.
grossing R-rated comedy of all time. But before that, it was 40-year-old virgin and some
Mhm.
others.
Well, those are kind of
This
the
is
height
kind of
of that type of humor. And
this
then,
is Siegel, this is Jonah Hill, this is Apatow was on set while this was being
mhm.
shot. You know, so it's kind of in that it springs out of that production that production shit.
It's like
So I expect it to be fucking raunchy, basically, is
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's going to be offensive and it's going to really push the boundaries.
But what it does that's different than those movies is those movies are actually like well structured and thought out and funny, and they do it in a way that's completely offensive but hilarious. They hit on a lot of the good marks. This is like after you've hit that high water mark and all the clones start coming out, and they're like as bad or if not worse than some of their own clones as far as the raunchy factor goes. I blame things like that Vacation reboot where the humor is just more about the gross out than the
Right,
and
right, right,
so, but
right.
this was still in that time period where it was acceptable, right? It's not like there's intentional fallacy all over the place here as to why it's so cringy, I think, because it aged so fast, that type of humor. Then we kind of shifted gears from it. And so this and a few others are these after that time period of 40-year-old virgin relics of the what the fuck were they thinking?
I think that the people I think it definitely aged. I think part of the problem with this movie is Russell Brand and fucking Diddy being in this movie
Yeah, and
because
now you hear things about Jonah Hill, and there's many other
very
cast
true.
members too.
Asking the audience at this point who's been through all this shit to kind of do the whole separation, of art from artist. It's going to be tough for some people.
But it's so hard in this movie where all of Diddy's dialogue
It's
based on
completely
what
fucked up.
we
Yeah.
hear now. It's the biggest challenge of this ever. And yet, I still think the movie's got some funny parts. If you can
I do too.
extrapolate all that and some of the rapiness of the movie, for God's sakes, Jesus Christ, this movie's like Date Rape the movie in a fashion where it was like, whoa,
Well,
movie, you took advantage of me, film. I was not expecting
oh,
that.
the
But
dildos. Oh, the dildo
okay,
scene with Jonah
there's
Hill.
that and
Yeah,
there's some
that's
other things too. But
yeah.
just when you think you're safe, I'm like, okay, maybe the movie won't do anything anymore, and we'll just do a little thing, and they go on their adventure, right? And no, then it does things like throws Ricky Schroeder at you, and there's all these things along where you're just like, oh my god, that's the guy who helped bail out Kyle Rittenhouse. Not to get political on here, but for fuck's sake, one thing after the other has not aged well, right? You see in Season Sorry, he doesn't have a great reputation. And, like I said earlier, separate the art from the artist. But when it's the most canceled people all together in one film, then I used to go, well, and I still do say, you can't throw away a whole movie. A bunch of people worked on that just because one person was fucked up. And then you get here and you go, there's a lot of people doing questionable things, and it's hard. It should exist, but this might be the first movie that I'm going to tell the audience don't watch. That we've
first off, I don't. Other than Diddy, nobody's been canceled. Russell Brand still works; he's not canceled. Jonah Hill's not canceled.
Yeah, but there's
these people. It's not a case of Kevin Spacey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a Harvey Weinstein. I mean, I'm not defending these people and what they've done. I'm just saying, so far they're still working.
It just makes
and to me, being canceled means you don't fucking work.
It makes it more of a jaw drop having to watch the movie through your eyes, going, oh my god.
To me, I don't know. I think that it's it kind of almost makes the movie better.
Well, you made me
the
watch
movie
is
this
week. I'd never seen it before, so all I have is the now.
The movie is about complete degenerates and in the music business. And
Yeah, in a way, it
you know,
reminded me of Almost Famous. Don't make friends with him. He made friends because he had no
yeah,
choice, and then they go
yeah,
off on their crazy adventure.
yeah. So I thought
There are
a
some
couple of
genuine laughs, though.
a
It's
couple
not
of things.
bad. It's just
Uh,
crazy.
Starting with the video with African Child is a way to kind
Oh,
of set the tone.
here we
You
go.
know,
This is
what you're
not
getting
Tropic
into.
Thunder. This is just
That's it's this artist who's so oblivious and so out of fucking touch with anybody and anything that he goes and he makes this awful African Child album. And I thought Rose Byrne, is that Rose Byrne, his wife?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was great. She really leaned into the role of being just kind of fucking just out of control.
Well, it's also the example of like the humor they did well in 40-Year-Old Virgin. By the time you get up to this point, it's that aughts humor that it's so trapped in amber when you look at it now. This is my joke. This is my joke. Joke, 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 joke. By the way, joke is my asshole. How many times have you seen that same joke, right? And they slam different versions of that over and over and over again.
Yeah, she sings a song about her super tight asshole. It's like
But
my
also
note says
other
that's
little
what
bits and thing, like the
my
Ricky
note
Schreiber,
says.
same joke,
My note says perfect oblivious rock star, aka Bono. That's why I'm watching this African Child video. And then my next note is, and then she sings a song about her super tight asshole, Jesus, and it's underlined. Jesus is just underlined. And then every time we get to this always cracks me up because every time we get to meeting the girlfriend, I'm like, I forget fucking Elizabeth Moss is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she's a pretty good actress, was in Mad Men and all that shit. So I was just like, what the fuck is she doing in this? It's hilarious.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's rough, guys. It's rough. One of my first notes was, "Oh no," and one of my other notes was, "I guess it was worth watching just to know where that meme came from, where Jonah Hill's doing the thing."
Yeah. The Mars Volta.
That was, and I'm like, "Oh, that's this movie." Okay.
Worst thing for Africa since apartheid is a great line. Diddy screaming, "We got to thicken the stream." Always
Diddy
makes me laugh.
anything, doing anything, standing behind fire behind him, going, "This is the music industry." It's like, oh my god. Diddy's character giving people drugs and then manipulating those characters to do things for him, like various sexual bidding or otherwise. It is fucking a hard watch, man.
Yeah. Well, it's not the kind of, it's one of those things where I really believe that Jason Segel was like, we'll write this wild person. This would never happen in the business. And now here it is.
Yeah.
14 years later. And it's like,
it's the intentional fallacy, because how do you're just trying to make another outrageous thing. And then all the pieces came into play to where, what? Oh my God.
Well, it was more just Diddy. Like the fact that the character that he played in that fucking movie weirdly was a lot of like kind of how he was. I don't know. And look, I mean, people knew about Diddy parties for a while. I don't know if Jason wrote that in there like that himself, but I mean, did he agree to play it? So I don't know.
Yeah, it almost feels like he made up his own dialogue. Just say whatever you want, P. Diddy. And yet he had some of the funnier lines in the movie. When he gets hit by the car and he's like, I got hit by a car and I'm still making the call. Where are you? It's like,
yep.
But then the movie.
Can you feel my dick fucking your mind? I'm mind fucking the shit out of you right now.
Mind fuck people, which is also like, oh no. And then it's like you get to the end of the movie, and then he Russell Brand is sober, and you guys are my friend, even though I basically sexually assaulted both of you. We're all friends now.
For me,
that is fucking rough, man. Chasing Amy is no longer the most weird idea of a threesome on a movie. Let's just forget it. That's child's play. This is just totally like, this is why I call it Date Rape the Movie. I'm taking that from somebody else's review, but it felt very apt because after that, you just feel dirty. It was like, oh no, movie, why did you? Oh man, I mean, I know what you're doing, movie, but god damn, that's just kind of.
I've never enjoyed that scene. For me, it's the scene in the movie.
And then it makes it hard to like
doesn't make
the character even on a silly way. I know the movie's not supposed to be serious in that way, but it's just like, oh shit, man! I thought you were gonna let up, movie, and here we are in Act 3. And
Yeah.
I thought when he went out on stage and he had that broken arm, I thought he was gonna croak on stage. And
Yeah.
I would have been like, that could have been an interesting ending. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then you don't get your happy ending with Aaron. So,
No. You can consider that
so
happy.
one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the stuff with Cole Meany, who
Right. Now that's some of the good stuff. Yeah.
the dad shows up and they have
Strangely enough, there's a good
the-
movie hiding
yeah,
in
it's
this
just
weird thing.
it's just hidden behind some pretty terrible behind some actors who turned out to be pretty terrible people.
And now I'm seeing memes like of the Diddy chasing the two of them down the hallway and shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
here we go.
See, that's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite scene in the movie, and I stole that line for one of our films.
Kubrickian,
The Kubrickian line.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that word. I love the usage of it. So I thought I'm gonna stick Kubrickian in my movie, and we did. But I mean, it wasn't a nod to get him to the Greek. It was more just a nod to.
Well,
I love the word usage. I thought it was cool.
Here on Talking Pondo, Cliff and I give each other movies that have inspired ourselves that the other person hasn't seen yet, and then years after we made a movie, we go, "That's where you found that thing from?" Okay. But it's good to know. It's good to know where Kubrickian, because somebody might go, "Oh, get him to the Greek," and I'd be like, "What? Your movie,
Yeah.
Kubrickian?" And I would be like, "What? I never saw that. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, I love that. I do love the
Saw coming soon.
I do love there's a moment where he's chasing him and they're running down the hallway and they bust out of the hotel and it's in slow motion and Russell Brand's just got this look of pure joy on his face, like he's having the best day of his life. And it always makes me laugh because I feel like it's a very well done kind of character moment of this guy who's just like, fuck yeah, I'm being chased by a record producer with my buddy. I'm going towards a show. This is fucking hilarious. We may even die. Whoa, and
it's the insane, almost famous. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
In the 80s are considered cringe. You all need to do yourself a favor and watch this if you think all those for American Pie, all that. That's no.
I love
the champion of that stuff now. I think.
I love Jonah Hill running around trying to get the lyrics for African Child.
Yes,
he's all fucked up and he's puked and he's meeting the people on the Today Show. I thought that was good stuff.
It made me think on total geeky level. Could you Google lyrics in 2010, or was that still like a primordial thing?
Probably
the cell phones weren't as easy.
Cell phones. The browsers were a bit more, probably a little bit more limited.
They were primordial back then.
Yeah, the iPhone. Maybe
it's just weird how
early iPhones had just come out.
Right? Because you see their phones in the movie, and it's like, oh, look at. I always like seeing those old phones in movies from the aughts and stuff. It's like, look how fast that changed, and yet that movie was shot at that time, so those particular phones are in there.
I do very much like the absinthe scene. I like the music choice, the turtles. I like the whole thing. I thought it was fucking funny. Why is Moby whipping us?
It has some laughs here and there. Strangely enough, it's just wrapped in all this, like, if you had seen it when it was brand new, there wasn't anything attached to it that's weird.
Right.
I'm not saying it's Twilight Zone the movie or something where it's but it's like this definitely has a strange dark cloud that's attached to it now. That's really kind of
I completely agree. That image that backlit image on the screen of him pulling those drugs out of Jonah's ass is just like, wow, like you guys really went for it. That's just, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's why do you call it a Geoffrey? Is that's fucking good shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
and then he comes out. He's all, I think I just got raped, and we're playing it all for laughs. And it's like, oh man, I know you're trying to go for your distasteful, but just based on everything else, it's just like this perfect shit show. And I know the way I described it sounds like I gotta watch this, and it's like, well, don't say I didn't warn you. If you have if you can have a high tolerance for that, you can make it through, or maybe you can find a compilation reel of all of Diddy's dialogue on YouTube, and that might be
that might
suffice for you.
I mean, I wouldn't say, again, separate do your best, separate the art from the artist, watch the film.
Well,
I
there's
don't. I
that,
think
but
it's.
then there's things like I just wish he wouldn't have, violated, the girlfriend towards the end, even though
Sure,
there was
sure.
the whole he was fucking around too, but the whole situation of just
Well,
bringing
she was
dudes.
into it. I mean,
Well,
he
yeah,
comes
but
over and says, "Let's have a threesome," and she's like, "Let's do
well,
that."
Rockstar shows up and then he helps.
Yeah.
His job is as a decent person, which he is to not do that. But then the movie
Right.
goes all the way up to like, oh my god, it almost.
It almost happens.
And then
Yeah.
they try to diffuse it with, he kisses him and, like, haha, we're back to it. But it's just like,
Yeah.
movie.
No,
Oh my god, you're
Yeah,
really pushing some boundaries there. It's just kind of rough, and it makes me
didn't
not
dig-
like
I
the
didn't-
Russell character anymore. I didn't even already, but it was just like, if nothing weird had even happened to anybody who made the movie, I'd still have weird issues with. I get why you did that, but at the same time, maybe handle that particular scene a little different. I don't know. But it does make it extra cringe up to the end. I will give it that.
Yeah, my note says the three-way scene is awkward, weird, and very unnecessary. It's kind of creepy and kind of uh, yeah. It's the last half of the movie where it falls apart. I feel like it starts strong, it gets going. Russell's character is an ass who immediately takes Jonah over, smells the inexperience, and immediately starts, well, we'll take the next flight, rebook it. I want to get drunk. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I don't want to do this. Here, carry my drugs, you idiot.
He tells him honestly how he feels about the music. That's a good.
Tells him honestly, yeah, how he feels about African Child, and he's like, "Fuck you." He just goes
I'm
off on
upset
him.
at you. I respect you for telling me, but I'm upset at you for telling me. Whatever the line was. Yeah.
And then I feel like it starts to stumble, picks itself back up again when they get to Vegas and they meet his dad and all that shit. And then after that, the other part about the Vegas thing that I don't like is where he's like, "You spilled my medicine. You got to sort me out." And Jonah Hill just goes down to the front desk and goes, "Do you have Mr. Heroin staying here?" And they end up.
Oh yeah, there's moments.
He ends up in like a Fast and a Furious car, and the guy gets stabbed. And it's, what the hell is this?
Yeah. It's just like I kept trusting the movie over and over again, and it kept fucking with me over and over. It's like, oh, we have more moments for you to go. Oh my god, we're even going to mention Dennis Quaid at one point.
Yeah. I do like the concert at the end and all that. It's fine. I don't have much of a problem with that.
Yeah, by then the movie's over. Yeah.
Yeah, the Golden God thing on top of the roof into the pool has been done.
Yeah, they didn't know how to end it, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, well, he broke his arm, he's going to die on stage, right? And that would be the fitting ending, right? Because it's like that makes up for him being like this total piece of shit, and he becomes a legend at that point. But I'm writing a different movie, see?
Have you seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah, and boy, what a different tone.
Well, to me, it's still early on in the movie, there's that scene where she comes home and he comes out naked into the living room, and she's like, "You need to sit down, we need to talk."
Yeah.
And she starts crying. That's probably one of the most funny, uncomfortable things I've ever seen. And I think he tried to do that again with the three-way, and it just failed.
Oh god, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where you're like, "Oh my god, stop crying, put your fucking clothes on," and but you can't stop laughing at the same time. And the three-way just didn't work like that at all.
No, because the three-way is some awkward, weird. Like I can't believe that got all the way up to the filming stage type thing where somebody didn't go, "Wait a minute, maybe you consider doing this instead." But that scene in the Sarah Marshall movie you're mentioning, it has such a realism and a heart to it. That's why it works, because it feels like, oh yeah, it's almost too hitting the nail on the head. There's a lot of emotion involved. Well, as there's still a lot of emotion in today's movie, but oh my, I didn't think I was watching, that exploitation film. I guess if you look at it from that point of view, you can be ready for these type of things, and what you thought was just going to be a little adventure. He's just going to get him to the Greek, right? He's got to go play a show, and there's a lot more to it than that, apparently.
So $40 million budget, $92 million gross worldwide. So it was a hit.
Oh,
Made a lot of money.
it was of its time. Yeah. I remember wanting
Made
to
a lot of money.
And now having seen it for the first time this last week, given the recent turn of events, is just like, oh my. Talk about intentional fallacy. This movie is turned into something completely different now. It's not as like watching Naked Gun, because those are movies where people actually, involved with there was death involved. This is
Right.
just more like, what the fuck happened? We don't know. We might not never know. It might be some weird shit. Might be shit you don't want to know. But oh my, if it turns out that it's really bad, and then you go back and you listen to the dialogue in this film, which I won't even repeat on the fucking show because it's so weird out of context, but you'll just, maybe if you're of the ilk, maybe you should see for yourself.
I mean, if you like raunchy movies, if you like those type of movies, if you like raunchy, offensive movies, this is probably going to be right up your alley. Assuming that you can separate, the whole Diddy and Russell Brand thing.
It might
from
become extra raunchy to you.
It might be, yeah. You might find it even funnier. I don't know. I mean,
Mhm.
just people's sense of humor are wild. So, but I do think it's a well crafted movie. It looks good. The music's not too terrible. They don't do too much of it to drive you away. Again, Rose Byrne is hilarious. There's a fuckload of cameos in the movie, including Lars Ulrich, Katy Perry, a bunch of others.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not fucking putting it down for any Academy Awards, but and again, I think it falls apart in the last half. It does all right. I heard that fucking who was it? It was Ebert or Siskel? Which one was it?
Oh, one of them gave it a good review,
He
didn't he?
gave it like 3. Yeah, it was Ebert. Gave it 3 out of 4 stars. Yeah. He says, under the cover of the slapstick, cheap laughs, raunchy humor, and sheer exploitation, Get Into the Greek is also a fundamentally sound movie, and I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. Like, it looks good, it moves, it does what it's supposed to. The filmmakers obviously know what they're doing, but you're right, it hasn't aged well.
There's some interesting choices, we should say, that even if there hadn't been scandal with the people involved, this movie still would have aged horribly for certain things that are in it, I think. And so when you add all of that just happened to be the movie that has all of this on top of it, really makes it an interesting film for the show. And I understand why we had it, because we watched My Chauffeur, right? And then it kind of, I was like, hey, that scene reminds me of that movie I never saw about where the person has to get the person to the show to play a show.
Person to the show. And I've never seen that, so let's watch it.
And you know what? I'm not going to play that song because that song's terrible. I'm going to play that good song that you told me that you liked, and then everybody's all into it, right? And when he's on that Today Show.
Yeah.
The Today Show. Yeah. Wasn't there scandal at the Today Show?
The clap. He sings the clap on the Today Show.
And
when they say, one of the other lines is, tell the West Coast we got to trim the balls.
I mean, Matt Lauer's not in this movie, but wasn't he on the Today Show?
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's just too many reminders of things. Every 5 or 10 minutes, it's like a drinking game. You can look for the canceled thing or the cringe item if you want to play that way. And then this might become a strange midnight cult hit where people view the film differently. Things that were once funny are funny for different reasons now.
Yeah. I take my hat off to Siegel and Nick Stoller, the director, and he was the other writer on it, for getting it done. Because it must have been. I mean, I assume I assume the way they got it done was right in the coattails of Apatow, and also forgetting Sarah Marshall.
It was like, we can make this thing. Let's make a sequel and just put a package in the box, and there's the product, and there you go. And then, strangely enough, it's just. I think the production was fine. I don't think there was any issues when they were shooting. It's just the weird life that this particular piece of work
has taken on. People who worked on it,
very, very weird.
Yeah. Apparently, they shot the live stuff, the live concert stuff that at the end at some of a couple of Russell Brand's performances that he was doing, his comedy shows, which I found interesting.
Here I thought this was going to be a light, fun movie like The Rocker or something, and boy, I was swiped.
It is, like I said, it's just the fucking people
if
are
you
terrible.
remove all the there's certain plot elements that are really nasty.
Yeah, there's certain plot elements. Yeah.
For me,
Well, and The Rocker's definitely for the tweens. This was not for tweens. This is an adult R-rated comedy.
Yeah.
This is. I mean, you're not gonna. Yeah. Again, not defending the people in it or what they did or anything like that. Nor really the movie. I think like I agree with you. It hasn't aged well. I remember enjoying it. I remember enjoying it when it came out. I really dug a lot of that Apatow humor back in the day.
Well, it was playing at that time. You're coming off that crescendo of all that.
Yeah. I also have affection for it because it played at my movie theater. So,
that's true.
When I was running a movie theater, so any movie that I remember that played at theater, I probably have a weird affection for it, which includes a lot of movies that are not really good. So I'm assuming you're giving it like 1 star.
My rating for this is very weird. I would go back and forth, but I give it a 2, leaning towards a half, because it's a well-made movie and it's got some funny parts, but overall there's some parts for me where I'm like, oh god. Yeah. But compared to some of the other movies that I've genuinely not liked overall, I can't say this is worse than those. This is actually because it's a better made movie and it actually made me laugh a few times. It has something going. It's just kind of rotten in parts. It's not really for me. So I give it the 2. Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about it. It's I probably sounded like I was defending it a bit. And again, I was, because I'm like, look, I get what spoiled it, but it is.
Well, yeah, I don't think
production wise, look wise, comedy wise, it did some good things. It's a well made movie. Yeah. It's like Hopper said, right? Like, it takes as much effort to make a good movie as a bad movie.
I just don't think they sat down and went, oh, Russell Brand's character can assault both of them sexually and it's going to be ha-ha. I don't even think they even realized until you make the movie and you watch it and you go, oh God, that plays so differently maybe than how even we thought it was playing when we shot it, or I don't know. These are my, just trying to figure out how we got to that point, but it happens.
Well, I mean, I know he definitely violates
worse things in movie, but it's just
he definitely violates Jonah Hill.
You don't
for sure
expect it to in a movie like this. I thought,
I'm going to go 2.5.
All right.
I think it's just kind of a middle of the road comedy. I don't think out of the Apatow movies, this would be a lower on the list. I would recommend you watch The 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up or something like that and enjoy that.
Quickly after this, the movies they ramped up the gross factor to where I stopped watching a lot of the newer comedies, and then I think eventually it just kind of that broke, and then they stopped making, because people were like, where are the adult comedies? And I think they're coming back more the way of, what was that Jennifer Lawrence one, No Hard Feelings? I haven't seen it, but I feel like that's our next, we're going to go that route maybe for that type of humor. Is that a good approximation? I've not seen the film.
I mean, I saw it and I felt like it had a lot of those echoes from this type of comedy.
But like the now version though, like
the now version, exactly. Yeah, like they've gone and taken it and done the next evolution of it. Yeah, for sure.
And it went away for a little bit, but now it's kind of back. And there's also movies like The Holdovers now too. So
yep.
Just go watch that one again. You'll feel better about yourself, maybe, or maybe you'll feel worse. I don't know. The Holdovers.
Well, I'm striking out this season. Like, I haven't given you anything you've enjoyed. I mean, I know at least this one wasn't.
This was weird.
Painful to watch. Yeah, it wasn't completely painful to watch.
This is an oddity that needed to be explored. I understand why this was brought up. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, look at this fossil I found. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. Look at this terrible fossil I found.
You see why this went extinct, because it was doing this and this.
So what do you got for me next week?
Oh, okay. So next week, as we go through the next few months, I'm getting you some some of my back catalog movies that I've been wanting to get to from season 1. And, how am I going to segue this? And I couldn't have used this segue if I'd given you this movie way back in season 1, because none of this had happened yet. But speaking of reviews and the whole John Carpenter Letterboxd thing, where somebody fake John Carpenter, those were pretty funny.
That was fucking hilarious, dude.
That on. So it's like, okay, well, let's finally go back to some John Carpenter here. Your movie next time is Assault on Precinct 13 from 1976. So yes, I'm giving you another pseudo prison movie as kind of like a follow-up, but this is just one I've been wanting to get to since we watched Dark Star. Not the remake. Is Ethan Hawke in the remake? Am I right about that? I'm not giving you Ethan Hawke version. I'm giving you the original, kind of gritty. I remember it feels more. It's a siege movie, right?
Yeah,
it feels more like
Ethan
a
Hawke
zombie
and
film.
Lawrence Fishburne. It is a siege movie. Yeah.
No, I remember liking it. I remember it's kind of a slow burn, but you see a lot more of his. It's not Dark Star. It's like he's figuring out right before Halloween. So I figured, okay, it's time. Let's give that one a spin.
All right. Well, cool. That's I've seen that. It's been a long time though. I think it's probably been a decade since I've seen that, so that'll be a fun watch. I'm going to give you. I don't think you've seen this movie. And I'm dropping a lot of blind picks on for you this season because your reactions on some of them have been fucking hilarious. My God. So I'm going to give you Ghost Dog: Way of the Samurai.
Oh wow! I've never seen it, but I know it.
Yeah, it's a Jim Jarmusch film.
Yeah, very polarizing.
Yeah, RZA from Wu-Tang Clan does the soundtrack. I think it's a very superb hip-hop soundtrack because it's not like most hip-hop soundtracks. It's really lending to the atmosphere of the film in a way that I don't think I've ever seen a hip-hop soundtrack do before. So I'm interested to see what you think about it.
Right. Yeah, I've always heard it's either a brilliant classic or it's laughably bad. So it's going to be interesting to.
That's why I'm interested to see what you think. It's Jim Jarmusch, and so you either like Jarmusch or you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's Night on Earth I kind of liked. There's some others that he's done that I like, but he's also had some real misses for me too. So.
Right.
Yep.
And going into somebody's catalog through the weird entrance once again. And we still
it's Forrest Whitaker.
So, yeah.
Forrest Whitaker starring. So
it's true. My birthday buddy. I'm not the same age, but we're both July 15 people. So
there you go.
And it's not Fast Times. We did this one instead. So
yeah. We'll get there.
Sooner than we realized. Yes.
All right. So next week it's Assault on Precinct 13. And Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai.
The 1976 Assault on Precinct 13.
All right. We got to thicken that stream.
Yeah, this is my prison after all.
All right, man. Till next week.
Later. Support the show on Buzzsprout for only $3 a month. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify or the platform of your choice. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page.